Welcome to session 5.4. This session will familiarize you with how to map out the baseline and innovation line. This process follows all needs to get a clear view on the gap process and possible points for measurement. This session is targeted at trial organizers and also advised for solution providers. Note that even mapping out the baseline and innovation line, including the practitioners, is inevitable, as their process will be described. In this session, you will learn about the concept and creation of those lines, identifying key performance indicators and metrics from those lines.
In this session, we will dive deeper in the concepts of the baseline and innovation line. These are powerful methods that can help you to identify the relevant metrics and key performance indicators for your trial. As you might remember, you use these methods in the preparation phase. The baseline is important for step 0, as well as for data collection and scenario formulation. The innovation line is useful for data collection, evaluation approaches, and solution selection. We will start with the baseline, and will then go to the innovation line. Then we bring both concepts together in order to identify bespoke metrics. Finally, we mention the use case of the methods as well as different modeling techniques you can use. So, let's start with the baseline. A baseline enables a deeper and more thorough analysis and communication between stakeholders. It is targeted on trial owners and practitioner participants. The aim of a trial is to assess innovative socio-technical solutions in an objective way. Therefore, you need reference data, metrics, key performance indicators, KPIs. In order to identify those, it is very important to write down the very process your gap is embedded in. Hence, you need to clarify the roles and responsibilities, the use of equipment, and the information and material flows, sub-processes and tasks that are part of the overall process. Let's do an example, a 112 call. A 112 call is a very stressful situation, and the aim is to get the key information as fast as possible in order to send the right kind of help. So where is the gap, you might ask? Well, if you ever had to call 112 from a cell phone, you might know that telling them your exact location is way more difficult than it sounds. Take a second to think about it. How often do you exactly know where you are? Remember that 100 meters in a city can actually mean around 3 corners. So the precise location really is key. Now think about how much time it costs to narrow down your location by discussing it with the call taker, and what that means for the injured person. Every minute counts. Getting the required information takes too much time, especially when the location is cluttered. So this is the gap we want to face in this example. First things first, what are we talking about when we say baseline? The baseline is the depiction of your as-is process in which your gap occurs. It includes the tasks, the roles, equipment, and information exchanges, including the means used to exchange them. Now back to our example of the 112 call. What are the tasks, roles, equipment, information exchanges, and their means? Let's find out together while depicting the baseline. To create your baseline, we can use a visualization by swim lanes. You can also start the creation process by using analogous methods, for example, sticky notes and a whiteboard. But afterwards, you should also create a digital version. We will explain the swim lane method using our 112 call example, which was broken down to a very basic level. 1. Animation. First of all, mark a timeline on your board. Now we start with a brainstorm and add each task or action that is part of this special gap process along this timeline. 2. We start with someone calling 112. 3. Then someone answers the call and receives the needed information. 4. An ambulance is sent to the described location and helps the person in need. So this is the very basic process. In a next step, add all equipment needed in these task action. 5. Obviously, a phone. It might be the landline, it might be a cell phone, and there will be some kind of dispatching software. Then also add all the roles. 6. We have the 112 caller, who in our example is also the person in need for help. 7. We have the call taker who answers the call and also acts as a dispatcher in this example. 8. And we have the ambulance who helps the person in need. Sometimes the process has to be rearranged regarding the roles. Our process steps are already assigned to the respective roles. This is also why this overview is called swim lane overview. Every role is a lane. All steps within this lane are assigned to the role. Now think of the fact that the tasks influence each other and add further tasks, actions, that you identify are necessary in order to create one whole, consistent course of action. As you perhaps have realized, the process is missing some logical steps. 9. The caller, of course, has to describe the location and give additional information. 10. The dispatcher has to forward the information to the ambulance. 11. The caller further needs to receive the help. In the next step, think of the communication processes between the roles. What kind of information is given? When? To whom? By the use of which means? 12. The 112 caller and the call taker obviously communicate over phone in both interactions. The call taker may also ask questions, so the communication is bilateral. 13. The call taker or dispatcher forwards the information over the dispatch software and is received by the ambulance as a short message or similar. 14. The help is given in person, so the communication is face-to-face. Now we've finished our simplified baseline. Back to your gap. Given the information about the exact location is a hustle. Now, there are different solutions to that problem, but the easiest one nowadays would be send your location as a GPS signal directly to the call taker. Let's say there is this innovative app. It allows for 112 calls and immediately sends the exact GPS location, maybe even supported by other technical localization possibilities a smartphone has, to the call taker. How does this change the process? To answer this question, we now come to the innovation line. Here you identify where exactly which innovative functionality changes the CM process and identify KPIs. It is targeted on the trial owner, the evaluation and technical coordinators, solution providers, and practitioners. To be able to answer the question, how does this innovative solution change the process, you need to create an innovation line. The innovation line is the depiction of your will-be process, in which your gap will be bridged by the innovative solution. Like the baseline, it includes the tasks, the roles, equipment, and information exchanges, including the means used to exchange them. So for our example, this means the roles stay more or less the same. The equipment gets complemented by an innovative app. The information stays the same. The means of info exchange get complemented by the GPS position. And what about the tasks? Before we look at the tasks, let's shortly look at the innovation line in general. Like in the baseline, you have your time going from left to right. Also, you have the swim lanes referring to the different roles. Now back to our example. While the reaction, call for help, stays the same, the means to do this changes. Now the task is not only the call, but also the sending of GPS data, although this works automatically and hence might not be a task if you take the word literally. The call taker immediately receives the GPS location information via app, but can ask for further information. This is why the connection is also bilateral. After this, the process stays the same. So, we set the baseline and the innovation line. Now let's compare both processes. So, what has changed? In order to answer this question, you need to compare the baseline and the innovation line. Okay, let us go through it step by step. The roles stayed the same. We still have the 112 caller, the dispatcher, and the ambulance. The equipment has changed. Where there was only a phone, there is now an app. The information exchanges stayed the same. Still, it is mainly about location. Other important information, like the name and age, could also be stored in the app and automatically be sent. The means of information exchange changed. The phone is being replaced by the app. What about the tasks? Last but not least, look at the time frame. The time until the help is received has decreased significantly. This is because in the innovation line, the app decreases the time needed to communicate the location. And why should you use the baseline and innovation line methods at all? To get a clear picture of your gap process, to know the tasks, roles, equipment, information exchanges involved in that process, to have a picture people can talk and discuss about. It is always easier to discuss changes in a process if everyone can see this process. It enables the solution provider to see where exactly their solution can fit in and to understand the requirements that come with the position in the process. It enables the solution provider to understand the crisis management process and then also to make suggestions on other functionalities that could be useful, to identify changes brought by innovative solutions, to identify possible metrics and KPIs that allow the objective assessment of the solution's added value. There are different ways to depict your process. You have heard about sticky notes and swim lanes. You may have heard about the Business Process Modeling Notation, BPMN. If you have a preferred technique, please use it. If you do not yet have one, we recommend to use the same idea as presented here. Have the roles underneath each other. Every task is a box. Information flows are arrows. And the equipment is a small icon attached to either the task or the information flow it is used for. Now we come to a quick recap of the session. We learned how to create a visualization of your gap and solution process by using the baseline and innovation line method. By comparing them, we can identify important metrics we need to measure in the trial. We also heard why we should use the method and which methods of a modeling method are most important for the method. The method is not a physical tool, so there is no further link for this session. This is the end of session 5.4. Thank you for your attention.